Good evening, everybody. It's a different time of day for Bev of the Bev D Show to be on. But I have a very special guest tonight, and I'll tell you about him in a little bit. But I'm really excited about tonight's show, and he is a working professional, so we needed to do this on hours that worked for him. So I know I do my show at different times and working through some new formats and things like that, but welcome again. This is Bev. This is the Bev D Show. It's October 13th. It is 7:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I before I introduce our special guest and what it's all about and all that good stuff, I want to thank you guys. I want to thank my listeners, the people that are sending me emails and messages and things like that, because that lets me know, that, you're out there. It makes a difference. I know when I started this little gig that it was something that I wanted to do, and I've been doing it. Oh my goodness. It was, we could be coming up on an anniversary here. It was October 2018. And I had met a new friend, and he expressed, that I've always wanted to do a show. I've always wanted to be in radio, but it just never worked out. My path never worked out. And lo and behold, the beauty of the podcast came into play, and anybody can do a podcast. They can get their message out there. And the beauty behind this is that instead of a specific demographic or a local area that a radio show might reach, podcasts now reach worldwide. And so we have listeners all across the globe, and I am just really honored to be able to be on this side of the grass and to be able to doing something that is my absolute dream. It's a very grassroots effort. I do a lot of different types of things on my show. I talk about, what's going on in the world. I try not to get too hefty into politics because it's just an insane time to be dancing around that subject. But one of the things that's always been my passion and love is that ever since I was a little girl, about 5 years old, I've been making believe that I was selling something, or I have been selling something. So sales is near and dear to my heart. I believe that all through school, when you're a kid, you are selling you. You are selling your persona. You are in an atmosphere where most of us want to be liked. Most of us want to have friends. We want to do well when we do a speech in front of the class, even though we might hate public speaking. And, there's just different times. You may even be screwing up in a class, and you need to kind of sell the teacher on believing in you and, giving you a chance maybe to do better on a grade or a special credit or something like that. But moving on beyond high school, you can't escape sales. And I don't care if you are a guy or a woman that wants to stand behind being a mechanic and you just want to work on cars. You have to go in and sell yourself to that potential employer and let them know that you are the person for that job. So whether and I look at our serving staff, our waiters and waitresses, and they have to, every time they come to a table and approach a table, they have to have the opportunity to sell themselves that you're going to get your food delivered properly, that you're going to be nurtured and taken care of, because food and drink is so intimate. And so sales is a huge arena for me, and always has been. I've always been passionate about it, and there's very few things on this planet that I have not sold throughout my life. I've had a lot of different kinds of sales jobs, and I'm really happy about that. I'm at a place in my life right now where I find myself impressively and gainfully unemployed. The company that I worked for, which is how I met our special guest, the company that I worked for had to do a lot of revamping and changing things around because of COVID. And so myself and my counterpart, we were trainers and recruiters, and we found ourselves unemployed. And respectfully, I know that decisions have to be made, but it was very hurtful, and I was very sad about that. But I did get through it, and we just never know the plan that God has in mind for us. So the person, our lovely special guest that I have with us tonight, his name is Tim Griffith, and he is in the Michigan area, and he is in sales, and I actually recruited him. So that's how I met him. I knew there was something special about him. I was excited to have him be a part of the team. I had a little bit to do with some of the training that he received in this particular industry. It is advertising sales is where we come from. And I was with the company 3 years, and I was always impressed with Tim and what he did, and how he just is one of those people that dives in and figures out and researches and takes and like a sponge and listens. And, some of what you hear, you're like, I don't know if that works for me or not, that kind of thing. But he's just such a respectful human being in his own right. And I've always admired him since the day that I had the pleasure of recruiting him onto the team. So through that, one of the things about the places that I've worked and the things that I've done is I've retained relationships. And this is certainly one that I reached out to Tim because he is successfully selling through this crazy time. So, and I wanted to have him on. I was hoping he could provide some insight. I want to dig into a little bit about his daily and what he does and what makes him successful, but also what are his challenges. And maybe those are some things that you experience as well. But this is a great platform for me to learn from him. And a lot of it is about attitude and passion and desire to want to continue to be successful. So without further ado, I would like to bring in Tim to the conversation, and I just want to thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Bev, and thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be on with you.
Well, thank you. I know, here it is, it's the evening, and you probably have other things that you could be doing just to kind of relax from your hardworking day, but I do appreciate you taking some time out to talk with me and express some of the things that that you're doing. I know that also this is new for you, so I really want to put it on a level that, this is just Bev. It's just we just have a couple of microphones. So and
right.
it's going worldwide, but no pressure. But no, I really want to thank you, and I mean that sincerely, and I've always had the utmost respect for you from the very first time that you and I talked on the phone, and we were working toward, you becoming part of the team. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And same with you. You made an impact, and I think you know that from just random calls that I would make to the office just to tell you that I heard your statements ringing in my head throughout the day. So you really made an impact and still do.
Well, thank you very much. Tim, and I say that so I've always remained humble. I know I get carried away. I know I get passionate, but I've always, I remember one of the training classes that we were in, there were times you were looking at me like with the 3 question marks above your head. Like, she has totally lost her mind. She's going crazy on us.
Oh no, it's probably more of me processing the good information that you were giving, and probably the way that you gave it in a way that made it so understandable. I think a lot of times when you talked, I can't think of one time you said something that I didn't agree with.
Right.
I think it's just more of the application that you gave to it that just, I guess, made my jaw drop in a way that you made it so relatable into what we do. And again, like I said, I carry that, a lot of those stories every day, especially through these difficult times, trying to make sales.
Right. And one of the things, and thank you, one of the things that I always found impressive about you, I know you had bad days. I know you did. And all of us do in sales, but it's the beauty of being in sales is that it's never the same. And these are the characteristics that if you don't like this, sales might not be for you, and that it is never the same. You don't know, you're counting on a deal to come through. You've built a relationship. Everything's supposed to come into play, and then something falls through. When that happens, what preparation do you have that kind of can pick you back up from that? So you everything's in place. You're supposed to call the guy Wednesday morning, and he says, "You know what? I met with the board, and they decided not to move forward." What do you do with that?
And that's a very good question. And I don't like to be cliche, but one thing that I've learned is that no gets me closer to the next yes. And I think to push myself to that next yes, you have to have a strong foundation of what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing. So my foundation, and as you know, and I guess I'll explain that I've reached a team lead position in the company. So I have other team members who call me with some of their struggles and call me with, different situations. Mm-hmm. So, I think, again, having that strong foundation is first having a why. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And then building from there. So my foundation and my motivation starts with my family, and I have 3 young sons who look to me for necessities, and I do that first for them. I do it second for myself because it's what I love, but when I'm pushing through and I'm persevering through the bad times, I'm doing it, for them. Because yes, I could give up and I could say, you know what, sales is not for me. Let me just go get a warehouse job. Mm-hmm. But I also know that the benefits of pushing through in a sales position with uncapped commissions is going to benefit my family that much more. And so that's my foundation. And then the next thing is because I put myself in a position that people can lean on me. So now that I have to take that responsibility as well, and push through, to be successful. But, after the foundation comes, it's the preparation. You have to be prepared to go into battle and understand you might take some battle wounds while you're in there, but just like any soldier, they're going to go in with their gear, their combat boots. They're going to have their, bulletproof vest on. They're going to have, medical supplies to get, to keep moving towards that goal. And I kind of take that in sales, when you hear no, you have to be mentally prepared to take that no and move to the next yes. Is it always that easy? No. And just, in any type of challenge, when you take a hit, it can definitely, it can definitely set you back, yep. But you have to have that mindset and have that preparation, have a strong foundation to get back up and to keep building and keep moving forward.
That is so, you use battle with war, and I remember I used to use football, and that, they don't just show up in September, getting ready to play without having prepared themselves for the past year, the summer, or whatever. And I love what you said, because you mentioned, excuse me, you mentioned building that foundation. And